So you're on this journey to build a portfolio of companies doing over $1 billion and be worth over $1 billion. You're documenting that journey. I just want to say, first off, I'm super thankful and grateful for all the content you've made. You're incredibly generous, sharing all the kind of inside baseball, if you will. Starting off, like, why $1 billion? Why does this matter to you?
I don't think it actually does matter to me. I think it's more like it's an easy target to shoot for, and then once we're at 1, it'll be 10. You know what I mean? When it'll be 10, it'll be 30 or 50 or whatever after that. I think it's more that PBD said something that I thought was pretty interesting and insightful after he sold his company, and I don't know the exact number, but I'm guessing it was between 200 and 300 million. He sold his insurance.
PBD, sorry?
Patrick Bet-David.
Okay.
And he made this statement that one of his mentors was like, man, something's changed about you. Like, you seem more confident, you seem more certain, or whatever it was. And he said, it was just this feeling that what I was saying all this time, that I was right all along. And I think that that felt kind of profound to me. And I think that, we have a certain level of success that we've achieved up to this point. I'm obviously young in the entrepreneur game. And I know that I could say the exact same thing at $1 billion in net worth and probably have a significantly wider, broader audience because I'll have proof or evidence that what I am saying is true. And so I'm trying to build this publicly so that I think it'll be cooler to call the shot and then hit it. Yeah.
Well, no, I think it's a cool journey. I mean, I really resonate with the vibe of kind of documenting the journey because, we definitely do. Guys like us wish that, someone like a Warren Buffett had kind of documented it right from the early days beyond just the annual shareholder letters, which legendary as there's a lot of like in between there. There's messes, there's mistakes, there's, just a lot. Like, I'm curious on your journey, I think, on social media, on these videos, everything can seem all rosy. It can seem kind of easygoing, and you talk about a lot of the challenges. I'm curious, kind of over the last 6 months of your journey, what's been some of these messy situations that have come up, and how do you kind of diagnose them and get around them and keep on overcoming these?
I mean, there's all sorts of them. You know what I mean? There's vendors for companies, making promises that they can't deliver on, and it costing us, 10 plus million on one deal in hard cost. There's deals that take, 4 months to negotiate and then fall through. There's, unfortunately, based on the nature of just like when stakes get really high, you make an agreement day one, and then the company goes from, a few $1 million a year to, a few $1 million a week. People's eyes change, in terms of how they see the contribution and whatnot. And so, it's interesting because I think the actual messes are the same. It's just that the zeros are bigger. Like, you're still playing poker, whether you're playing with dollar chips or playing with $1 million chips. The game's more or less the same. It's just the stakes are higher.
And when you think about the goal of $1 billion, like, is there a date you've got in mind that you're like, this is when it's happening? And do you feel like you're on track to that?
I do think we're on track to that, which is cool. There's definitely like room for luck, which is cool. And we've definitely had a few, I'll call them lucky breaks. But, to what I think somebody wrote a great article on like 4 levels of luck. I feel like you would have been exposed to something like this, but you can increase your luck surface area. And I think a lot of what we're trying to do with the content and whatnot has been to deliberately create more luck, for ourselves. And so that has worked. I think that if we were just take the actual money and just put it in the S&P and just if it compounded at whatever 9.7% for the next 40 years or 30 years, we'd hit it kind of regardless. But I'm hoping to beat that. And so if we can do it in 5 to 7, that would be pretty cool. And so that's like, if my honest answer to like what are you really shooting for is probably 5 years.
5 years. And, I love that Peter Thiel kind of frame. I'm sure you've played it through your head a lot, the idea of like, what's your 5-10 year goal? Mm-hmm. How would you go and accomplish that in 1 year? Either dialing up like better people, better systems, better opportunities, when you think about ways to accelerate that vision, like what comes to mind?
I think it's all about opportunities. It's opportunities. Because if you think about I talk a lot about leverage. So difference between what you put in and what you get out. And there are a few things that give greater leverage than the opportunity vehicle that you're pursuing. And so if you run a local business or a restaurant, for example, you may work 80 hours a week to make that restaurant successful. If you run a platform that, creates aggregated buying power for all restaurants to buy together, and then you make some sort of spread on that, then you still probably work 80 hours a week, but you probably have a significantly larger opportunity. And so it's just like making sure that we pick the right boat, to use Warren Buffett's analogies, to be in the right boat. And I think that's where strategy and having people who are ahead of you. Because the biggest thing when I was starting out was that I just didn't know, I didn't understand any of this stuff. And just like how much leverage you can get on opportunity. And so it's like, if you have one successful gym, they're like, you're never going to make $100 million on one gym. It's just not going to happen. And so just stating that fact outright really does shift your behavior into like, what opportunity could I put the same 5 years into, and it could result in $100 million or $1 billion or $10 billion. And then just being ruthlessly selective about those things. And I think that from an entrepreneurship perspective, what really happens, like the rich get richer, sure, because they get smarter, but I think a lot of it is because what they choose to not pursue.